Hi, my name is Alexis Miller and this is my studio Cisco Pilates. Today we're going to do some basic hip strengthening exercises that are good for people with low back instability or some pelvic instability. Also anyone who's needing to strengthen hips, knees, low back. These are good exercises for everyone. I'm going to use the wall. You do not have to use a wall, but it is a really nice way to give you some extra stability and feedback. So that is optional, and feel free to try it if you like it. So we're going to start. I don't care which side you start on. I'm going to line my hips against the wall, my feet against the wall, my back against the wall. My hand is behind my head instead of on the side of my head. So the back of my hand is actually against the wall. My elbow is against the wall. Shoulders, hips, and feet. There is a little space behind my low back, but I'm really working hard to pull my ribs in. That's going to be difficult. So with your feet here, we're just going to start with some clams, up and down. This is a very basic hip strengthening exercise. I like having a wall here because if you don't have a wall, what often happens is that top hip will go backwards. So the wall keeps you from doing that. You do want to make sure that your bottom hip is really up against that wall. Really get it in there so that you can't cheat. Check those ribs. Head is against the wall. So you should be feeling something somewhere in your leg or hip area. You should also be feeling some low abs here, pulling into the wall to help stabilize you. I have to fight really hard to keep my ribs in because I like to stick my ribs out. So that's a lot of work for me there. And I feel a lot of work here. You can do this until you feel like you can't do any more, until fatigue. You can start with 20, you can do 40, 50, 100, whatever feels right for your body. But for now, we're going to move on to a different one. So you're just going to take your top leg straight. It's all the way up against the wall. And now it's going to go up and down. And you can slide it against the wall if you want, or if you're in the middle of the room and not using a wall, it's just going up and down. You want to make sure your hips are stacked on top of each other. You should be feeling some work happening in the side here. If your hip is popping at all here, sometimes if people go all the way down to the floor, that'll happen. So you can kind of keep it up and then go up from there. Just keep it smaller. That can help. If you want this to be more challenging, you can straighten your other leg. And even more challenging, you can take two hands behind your head. Let's add one more thing here. You're going to take your bottom leg forward and put the top leg on top of it and do some small circles. Watch that hip to make sure it's not moving around. It needs to stay really stable. Reverse. Good, we're going to go to the other side. So lining yourself up if you're using a wall. Back of the hand against the wall behind your head. Shoulders against the wall. Hips against the wall. Ribs pulling into the wall. And feet against the wall. Especially making sure that bottom hip is against the wall. Here we go with some clams. One side might feel harder than the other. And if you're recovering from an injury or trying to build strength more on a particular side, you can do more on one side if you'd like to. But generally it's nice to be even unless your physical therapist is telling you need to do some extras, that's okay. So this can really help with sacrum instability. Have a lot of clients with that. I've struggled with that. And this has been a very helpful series of exercises for me. Also really good because we don't tend to use these muscles in our hips very much. And they're important. They help us with a lot. Very good for low back issues as well. By now you should be feeling something, I hope. You're going to take that top leg straight down, right? Make sure your hips are still stacked. That bottom hip is against the wall. It goes up and down. Pushing your head into the wall. Make sure those ribs are pulling in. Again, if the hip is popping, just take that leg a little higher. Knees pointing straight forward. If you want it harder, you go 2 hands behind your head and or bottom leg straight. Gotta check those ribs though. I always have to check my ribs. Alright, last thing here, circles. So legs are forward in front of you, you do circle. Pulling those abs back and ribs back. 2 hands behind the head if you want more challenge. You should feel some low abs there, reverse. Good, and rest. So I'm going to show you a quick stretch for your hips if you'd like to do it. There's a couple different ways to do it. You can lie on your back. It's nice to have a pillow for this. So grab a pillow if you have one. Okay. Lying down, cross one ankle over the opposite knee. Grab onto that thigh and pull it towards you. All right, some people like this version. That's fine if you like that. Or you can be here. I like to flex this foot to protect my knee here. You can rock side to side. You can make circles. A lot of people will pull their tailbone up off the floor here. You want your tailbone to be down, so even there might be a little space underneath your low back. Try not to pull it up. All right, switch sides. You can stay there for as long as you'd like as well. So making sure there's a little space under your low back. Ankle across the knee, pull it towards you. You can rock your hips side to side. This should feel really good, especially if you have tight hips. And if you are using a wall, I'll show you quickly how you can do the same thing against a wall. Lying down. Cross one ankle over the knee, and the wall holds your leg up for you. You don't have to do anything with your hands. If you're not close enough to the wall, scoot a little closer. Try again. You should get to where you can feel a good stretch there. I like this version because you don't have to use your upper body at all. Just to be quick, we switch sides. But again, you can stay there for as long as you would like to. Okay? That's all for today. Thanks so much for joining me.